All right, hello again, everybody. This is Derek, and I am coming back at you with another Wargaming in Miniature video. Yeah, so this morning I had finished the commission, right? Well, let me rephrase that. I finished painting the commission. And I've got my little, what do they call this, a garrison cap? I got this thing on backwards because the brim, it's just more comfortable in the back. The brim doesn't interfere with my faux head. So how's everybody doing this morning? All right, we're doing all right? Okay, good. I do need to flock and texture these bases. So that we can get this shipped out to my customer. Okay, let me take one of these. Yeah, so this morning I finished varnishing them, right, with their dull coat, and then popped them off of their popsicle sticks and got them glued onto their bases. And I see the glue is not completely dry yet, right? But that's okay. Because that won't interfere with our texture paste. Because I can apply that right over the glue that's not 100% dry yet. I'll probably, because I used a Mod Podge to glue them down to their bases, and it's kind of like a PVC but also with resin. It goes on white and dries clear, and so I see a little bit of white like on this base, that base, that general, but almost and maybe that figure right there, but almost everybody else looks dry or close enough. I mean, it's just a haze that I should be able to apply texture to it. And even if I do cover up any of the Mod Podge that's not 100% dry, it'll still dry. They'll just dry together. I tried putting a lot of ice in this cup, so I don't anticipate this whole can going in. I did that on purpose, so it wouldn't, because normally I'd put ice only about a third of the way up, and then the can would fill the rest. But now with more ice, I'll be able to get like a little refill, and it'll probably stay cooler longer. Or I could take a big sip and then fill it the rest of the way. There we go. Okay, give me a second. Before we get started, okay, so this is the end of my commissions right now. As my studio sits, I have no commissions after this. So what I'll need to do is start painting for the store, right? So my eBay store, historicals on my eBay store has gone down a lot. I still have quite a bit of fantasy figures, Oathmark, and I have skeletons and orcs and D&D. I think I got some goblins, some barbarians that I rebased for 28mm Meg. And I've got some tanks up there for World War II, and I've got American War of Independence and a couple of Hanoverian units for Napoleonics. But I don't have any. Well, I got some Russian infantry up there as well. But what I think I need to do is pull some of my American paratroopers. I've got in this bottom box down here that you can't see. I've got a bunch of offensive miniatures. I need to pull them out and paint them. I think that's what my next store project will be. My personal project is going to be getting my O group terrain settled. I don't know if I'm still on camera or not, but I'm going to put a sweatshirt on. I'm also going to put an ace bandage on my leg. I just washed it and just put it in the dryer. I think the dryer just finished. I was hoping it would be done before we started the video, and I could have put it on before we started, but no, that's not my fate. So over the next couple of days, Thursday night and Friday night, I'm going to be working on getting my O group stuff ready. Okay, give me a second. I'm getting these. Getting my O group stuff ready for the game I'm going to be playing Saturday. Right, as some of you know, I've got a solo game that I'm going to run for myself and you guys, because I'm going to live stream it Saturday. So Saturday, about 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock noon, something like that, somewhere in that neighborhood, is I'm going to start the stream, and we're going to play Lafayette Bridge, but using O Group. This tapes. So you might ask, Derek, why are you putting an ace bandage on your foot or on your ankle? Actually, I'm putting it on my calf. Okay, let me elevate my foot a little bit. Okay, I'm putting it on my calf because I was noticing over the last few days that my legs have started to swell up. Too much liquid or bloating or whatever they call it. So I ordered this couple of nights ago. It's supposed to come in today. Compression socks. I wonder what they're going to feel like, because that'll cover my ankles and my toes and everything. And while I was there, I said, you know what? I think I should order another ace bandage just in case I need it for my left leg. But also, I broke the little elastic claw clip that came with the ace. You know, it has like a couple little hooks on it and a rubber band to tighten it up. So I've been using this tape, and I shouldn't be. Why? Because it's kind of expensive, actually. Okay, let's see if I can. Okay, there we go. But that's probably not going to get here till like 1 o'clock this afternoon or something like that. So ace bandage it is for now. Yeah, I'm happy to get that all taken care of. Okay, now I already have 5 infantry battalions based up and they're already finished. So we've got a Lancer unit, a Cuirassier unit, 2 guard 12 and a line 6. And then I've got Russian 12 pounders. There's a Russian general, which also came with these 2 figures, a drummer and an officer on foot. So I decided to base them up together. I haven't been given like any direction by my patron, because he trusts that I will put them together, paint them, and get everything done properly. So I appreciate his faith in me. Okay, that is solid. So we're going to put that. All right, that's good. So I'm going with a fairly larger brush to paint all this on. How do I want to do this? So we're going to be using Vallejo Earth Texture Brown Earth. That's the earth texture I pretty much always use. I've experimented with a lot of the other colors, you know, like dark earth or mud or even light earth. And I just think the brown earth looks the best. Now, I'm not zooming in to the work that I'm doing. This is not a tutorial. If you want to chat with me or start a conversation about a certain topic, I would be glad to share my thoughts on that topic, if I have any. Possibility I won't have any thoughts on it. But something that's on my radar right now is Epic Black Powder. No, sorry. Epic Hail Caesar. The Punic Wars. I don't know if you've seen it or are aware of its July release date. I like Hail Caesar. It's not my go-to Ancients rule set. It used to be, and I don't mind playing it. I think it's a good set of rules. I like Meg better though. Um, saw the way they did the Romans. They put them in 3 ranks instead of 2, like they did with all the other epic series. I mean, in the same game, you even got other armies where their infantry is just in 2 ranks, like the Gaelic or the Carthaginians or the like the Libyans. I saw on their files they had an onager, or was it a trebuchet? It looked like an onager. And I think, oh, that looks pretty cool. And one of the guys, okay, this brush is not working the way I anticipated it to be working. I think it was on Tabletop, their interview with Warlord Games at Salute. I think they mentioned it's true 15s. I doubt it. I'm sure it's their proprietary 13 and a half. But you just won't know until you get it and look at it and use your ruler and measure it. I'm not using this brush. Horrible brush. Oh, this brush seems like it's way better. We'll see. So I ran into a little bit of a kerfuffle with these figures. When I applied the varnish. And it really only impacted the cavalry, which I'm kind of weirded about why it only impacted the cavalry. Maybe that guy. But my house is air conditioned, right? The air is controlled. We've got it right now. We've got it set to 72 degrees. I'm not sure why it's set so high, but we do. And I do appreciate a 72-degree house. my kerfuffle was, and I didn't think this applied to the Vallejo matte varnish, Mecha varnish. That's what I used on these guys. And I used it undiluted, straight out of the bottle. Sometimes I'll mix in the AK varnish, because it says ultra matte on it, and I try to go for that just that little bit extra matte, right? But this time I said, oh, just regular matte should just be perfectly fine. And so I applied it, let it dry, and then when I went to go mount these guys on their bases, I was starting to see a little bit of a white fog. Now, I hope that is varnish that hasn't completely dried yet, and that fog will disappear. I really hope that's going to be the case. Otherwise, I'm a little disappointed with the Vallejo matte varnish. I've never had that happen with the AK Ultra Matte. I've had two different problems with the Vallejo products. One of them is the polyurethane matte varnish. It dries with bubbles. But it also dries with a little bit, it's a little harder or damage resistant, if you will, because it's got a resin in the varnish. I learned a long time ago I don't need a resin in my varnish. So I almost never use that. Okay. This brush is starting to fan out as well. Might need to refresh the brush. No conversations? So if I was, this is a question for you guys. I've been thinking about putting it up as a poll, and I'm not sure if I can put a poll on X. I think I can. I'll just have to learn how to do it. I'm not proficient with X. I don't know all the different things that I can do on Twitter/X. But I was going to put a poll on there. And you can give me your 2 cents here on the stream. What would you like me to paint? German Fallschirmjägers, German SS, British para, or American para. So basically all three para, or the German SS. So, because I'm not going to be able to do them all simultaneously. I didn't need that, but and then if you'd like to see me do the Fallschirmjägers, then that's what I'll do. If you'd like to see me do the American paratroopers, then that's what I'll do. Now these are all going to go up on my store. None of these are for my personal collection. So maybe if you're shopping for a specific type of World War II skirmish infantry, just take this as an opportunity for me to paint something. But I'm leaning towards the U.S. paratroopers. And D-Day. Partially because I want to experiment with my .15mm paint scheme. See if it also works for 28mm. Because as you know, the larger the figure, or I should say, the difference in scale of any paint job, the colors, it's an optical illusion because the color doesn't actually change, but your perception of the color changes based on what scale figure it's on. And I wanted to see if that decomposed flesh would also work on 25s or 28s. I suspect it will, because it came from AK originally. There's a couple of things holding me, well, I don't know, there's a bunch of things holding me back from jumping into the epic Hail Caesar Punic Wars. One of them is, are they 15s or are they 13s? If the 13s, that's disappointing. And I'll just move on. And I don't mind the concept of like a three-piece Roman unit where you get the front rank with the shields, and then you get the second rank with pretty much only helmets and shoulders. And then you get a third rank, which is the backs of the guys. You know, and when you put them all together, they look like they're really super tight knit, super close form. I don't mind that. But something I do mind is the 60 millimeter wide base. It's just ridiculous. That's like a 28 millimeter Meg Army scaled base. Not a Hail Caesar. Okay. Yep, I can't get into that spot. So what I'll do, grab a fairly detailed brush. I mean, these tester brushes are not built for fine details. Okay, everybody's below the lip. That's good. Now I wonder if the first figures will be ready to flock when I finish the grit here. Couldn't resist. Wait, is this guy not even glued down? I don't think he was even glued down at all. Dang. How did that slip past me? Okay, we're gonna fix him super quick. Whoa. Okay, this guy's just a special case. Okay, gonna set him off to dry separately. Now that's making me want to go see if all the rest of them are dried or glued in. Oh, that was weird. So it was my wife's birthday last night, and I didn't really remember until yesterday morning. Right? I was like, oh crap, your birthday. And going out to dinner and all that. Um, so I had to cancel my Traveler game. That was my fault. I should have realized that last week when I rescheduled. All I did was look for Wednesday and on the calendar and click it. I didn't realize the day, the date. And so it didn't dawn on me until yesterday morning. And then I had to reschedule, or I should say cancel, right? And that's the second time in 2 weeks. Because last week, I actually canceled because of this commission. I said to myself, I want to get this commission done. And I don't want to take a day off, basically. Which that's what I felt I was doing if I took some time away to play Traveler. I felt like I was being lazy. So I rescheduled it. And then it wound up being my wife's birthday. Oh my gosh. Oh well. Yeah, so this brush is immediately starting to flare out. Well, I am pushing with it. I'm not brushing with it. I'm pushing. Sure, that has everything to do with the way it's responding. So before I start that offensive miniature figure painting series, call it a series. Before I start that, I want to make sure my O group battle is set. Now I thought about painting one company of Americans infantry and then just using them as glider troops. But I want to do that. I will do that, but not for this Saturday. In that black spot. Oh, is it a shadow or what it is? So we'll just leave it. I can put grass there and that'll take care of that. Okay, I'm going to hold off on doing that stand because it looks like that's all white. So I'm not going to do that. Now, I kind of looked at the map already and scaled it to 1 inch is 25 yards. That's the O group scale. And I could get this battle on something small like a 4x4 actually. If I go with a 4x6, which is the table that I've got, I would be getting into the backfield. Into the rear area on both sides. Which is perfectly fine for the battle. Won't hurt anything. It's just unnecessary. Now, O group uses a foobar system for morale. And they look at it like this: for every 4 units that get destroyed, you gain 1 foobar. Once you hit 3 or 4 foobar, you lost. So that winds up being about approximately 12 of your sections. It's almost like a company and a half, approximately. You don't lose a lot of units in O group. So reaching that 12 unit, what am I saying, 12? It could be 16 unit threshold is kind of hard. So I'm just curious, and that's another reason why I'm playing this game, to see how easy it is to get to that level. One reason that makes it hard to get there is there's not a whole lot of troops on the table that can get killed. you've got combat patrols everywhere. And when they die, they don't count against your foobar. They just go back into play, when you bring them back into play. So as a general, you'll throw them in drawing out the enemy. And then once the enemy is in position, you throw your combat patrols somewhere else and bring in your troops. Well, that's if you're trying to bypass. All right. Kind of still drying. So I've thought about, is there a way for me to get the battle group morale system to work with my O group game? Because I have to admit, I love the battle group morale system. I just love it. Now, a mixture, I thought about a mixture. You see, in battle group, your morale is hidden. You lose a troop, you draw a chit. That chit's got a number on it. And you hold on to that chit. And then as units die, you're drawing more and more chits. And then eventually, the numbers that you're paying attention to or keeping track of will reach your combat forces morale, and you will break. But your opponent, he might know what your combat morale is, but he doesn't know what the numbers are that are on your chits. So he doesn't know how close you are to breaking. But in O group, you know exactly how close they are to breaking, because you know what their morale is at the start of the game, and you know how many units you've destroyed. I don't like that. I don't like knowing. It should be either a die roll, because that makes it random, or a hidden number, like in Battle Room. So I wonder if every section that gets destroyed, you draw a chit that gives you a number and then basically kind of figure out what 4 foo-bars, or I should say what 4 units would average out to. Doesn't have to be exact, but what would the average be, and count that as 1 foo-bar. But the foo-bars impact your troops' die rolls. And if you reveal, okay, that one needs to dry as well. If you reveal that you're getting a minus to your die roll, you basically just told your opponent where your chits total is at. And that's okay because in O group, nothing is secret anyway. So in that case, keeping the chits secret isn't really an imperative. But the downside with that is the only time it really becomes important is when you're on your last foo-bar. So I don't know. I'll have to put some thought into that. Right now, we're just playing with the O group rules. Foo-bars, everybody knows what they are, how many you get. Got a comment. What do we got going on here? Can't see with my painting glasses. Rascal's Hobbies. He says, howdy. Hey, Rascal. How are you doing? You working on anything right now? Or are you just watching? Or are you working on some miniatures of your own? With a name like Rascal's Hobbies, sounds like you might do models. Or you might do model railroading. Or both. what I think I'm going to do tonight is cut out a bunch of felt into like 6-inch squares. Not exactly. I mean, it's going to be in a variety of different shapes and sizes, but approximately 6-inch squares. And I'm going to put some acrylic latex on it. And we're going to let that, and then I'm going to texture it. I might flock it too. But basically, those are going to serve a variety of duties. I said duty. No, they're going to be open fields, which you would think you don't need open fields. That's the default, right? When you lay down your blanket, the whole table's an open field. That's true. But these are going to be open fields. But they can also serve as patches of woods. All I would have to do is just put some trees on them. They could be orchards. So basically, I'm making templates for wood lines, actually. But they're going to be basic open areas. Oh, am I out of... No, I'm not out. Who's this guy? And I've gone back to the drawing board for my asphalt roads. I've decided that the extra time and effort is going to be worth it. So instead of making felt and cork and paint asphalt roads, I'm going to make felt Alex texture paste. And that's it. The big downside is letting that Alex dry. That's why I was kind of avoiding it. And I think I've only got one tube left of Alex. So, well, that's not true. I've got one caulk gun tube, and then I've got one squeeze tube. Now I've got fences, hedges, walls, all that stuff from my previous playthrough, but I'm not happy with all of those. So I want to make more. But I'm not in a rush to do it for this Saturday. Okay, I'm going to use a little care. This guy. I'm going to save that gunner for last. All the other guys. And that final guy, I might put it on a little thick. I normally don't. Normally put it on fairly thin. So it's really just paint with grit. Usually. I'm not trying to make contours or anything. Normally, anyway. Okay. See if I can get it inside there. Even though the Mod Podge is white, still hard enough that the texture paste is sitting on top of it. Okay. Okay, that's it for the earth texture. Okay. That is definitely going to be last. Mainly because that crew member needs to dry. Who would be second to last? It would be third to last. And this guy. Now these guys are almost dry. I can see them. The shine is starting to disappear. Starting to look a little matte. So are these guys actually. But I'm going to give it a few more minutes to dry before we start applying any foliage. My 50% Mod Podge. Before we start applying that, I am going to go pee because I've been holding it. I will be right back. Yeah, I just realized I was completely blind running around with these painting glasses on. Couldn't see anything. Okay, we got to adjust. We're good. We're good at that, right? Grabbed a little applesauce as a snack. Frederick's got something to say. See what you got, Frederick. Give me a second to settle back down into my chair. So, Derek, when are you starting a Harn campaign again? I've been rewatching the 19 old episodes. Would be really great if you can restart a campaign. Well, Frederick, I don't have any plans for a Harn campaign right now. I'm in the middle of a Traveler campaign. Traveler has always been I'm chewing on a little something right here, so I'm sorry about that. But Traveler has always been my passion. Harn was a that first campaign that I ran was, in fact, my first campaign that I ran of Harn. And Harn has a rich history and a lot of canon, which I really love because Traveler has that as well. All right, Frederick. Yeah, you say you're not a fan of Traveler. Yeah, that's okay. That's fine. But this is what I'm getting to. I'm getting to something that might not be a very popular opinion. I might piss somebody off when I say this. So I'm going to try to be diplomatic about it. But Harn has a lot of rich history. It's got a lot of books that tell you about the world that annoying player was part of it. That you can put an S at the end of player, but let me say, Harn's been around a long time, just like Traveler. It's been around since the 80s. It was designed as a generic fantasy world that you could use whatever game system you liked. Right. Yeah, that you make up a great point. And the point is just the fact that I know what Piharn means is the problem. I had a number of players that either played or didn't play for various reasons. Because they had certain expectations that were not being fulfilled. I ran Harn as a world that I created a fantasy world and I used Harn as the lore / story element behind my fantasy world. I was not running Harn straight from the books. And one of the reasons why I didn't want to do that was because of player knowledge. And with Harn being around since the 80s, right. So if you like the D&D mechanics and you think like D&D is the kind of world you like, you can use Harn as the setting, right? And then you could play D&D but in the Harn world. And that's kind of what I was doing, but I was using actually I was kind of playing Pendragon, Camelot, Chivalry and Sorcery, that kind of a game using the Harn Master rules. And I don't have any problem with Harn Master. I think it's a good set of rules. And the Harn world is a good world. I don't have any problem with it. But the reason why I'm not running it, and the reason why I struggled with it is, well, personally, I didn't struggle with it. I have no problem with it. But when a player says, and I'm not going to say, this applied to more than one player. Well, I run this module myself, and I ran it for Gary Gygax when it came out, and he enjoyed it, and so you're doing it wrong. And I'm like, I had like all but 2 of my players, and I went through a lot of players, but and that's right, I ground them up and spit them out. I went through about 5 players that came and went, and I would say 3 of them were elitists. Well, I've had this game since 1980, and when you go to this one city, this church is located at this corner, and that bothers me. Right? I ran this game myself with a bunch of players, and we do the the encumbrance system like this, and you're doing it like that, and so you're doing it wrong. And I'm like, encumbrance came up quite a bit. I played with I wouldn't say this. They said this. I played with the game designer, and he says it's supposed to be done this way. Or I played with Gary Gygax. Or I played with this person or that person. Have you ever played, I used to know Steve Jackson, and I used to hang out in his basement, and we would play this. And it was basically just a ton, and I mean it, 3 different players with ton of name drops, like they were trying to impress somebody. And it wouldn't have been so bad if they were like, oh yeah, I played this module already, so I'll try to rein in the player knowledge and just play what my character would do. If they did that, that would be fine, right? Because I did run some modules kind of as a learning experience for both the players, my new players that have never played, and myself. But the ones that have already played and have played in every module, they weren't like that. They were very, and I'm going to use this word politely, obnoxious. And it became apparent to me, and I apologize to you, Frederick, because it doesn't sound like you're that kind of a person. But they were rude. They were unapologetic. They were not flexible. They were not good role players. They were more like, I know this world, and this is how it's got to be. And I stopped playing because it became a chore for me to log in and listen to their bullshit. I don't encounter that when I play D&D. I don't encounter that when I play Traveler. I don't encounter that when I play Mutants and Masterminds or In the Labyrinth, The Fantasy Trip, Rune Quest. You know, I played all these other games. I have an actual document of games that I've played. None of them. And there's at least 50 on my list that I've played. In various times. Champions. Mutants and Masterminds. Heroes Unlimited. Rifts. Rifts was borderline, but there was Rifts. Palladium. D&D. RuneQuest. Traveler. I'm just going to stop listing. There's a ton of games that I've played, and none of them had the attitude that these players that play Harn have. The players, I don't know what it is. I don't know what causes it, but I don't know what the disease is, but they all have a mind virus. It's like, I've played this and you're doing it wrong. And I would have to tell them, well, it's true that there were some things I was doing wrong because of two reasons. One, because I didn't know any better. That happened a few times. And two, because I didn't want to do it that way. I wanted to do it a different way. And my players, I went through about 8 players, in total. And 5 of them were assholes. I mean, yeah. And out of the last 3 that were really my core, one of them was an asshole, but he was an apologetic asshole. He was like, you're doing it wrong, but that's okay because I'm having fun. Or that's not the way you're supposed to do it, but that's okay because my character wouldn't know any better. Or something like that. So he was always correcting me, but then saying it was okay. So that by itself wore on me. And I talked to these players off camera in our Discord, and I would say things like, this is what I'm doing, this is why I'm doing it, and let's just all get along. Let's just have a good time, and don't worry about the rules, worry about your character's motivations. And let me, as the game master, worry about the rules. And they just couldn't do it. And it wasn't just the rules, it was the setting. I know how a 12th century knight performs and acts. And it's okay to have like a preconceived notion of the way something works. That's okay. But when I tell you that's not the way it is, this is how it works, that should be the end of the conversation. As the game master, the referee to the game, the one pushing the narrative, that should be the end of the conversation. It shouldn't be, well, that's not how it's supposed to be. This is the way it's I just, you know, and a little bit of that I can live with. But when it was constant, it was hammering me, hammering me, hammering me. And you could have seen the Discord, how it was like lit up, you know, this and that and this and that. I just got to a point where I said, hey, you know, guys, I'm going to move on. We're not going to play this game anymore. It was starting to really upset me. This is some unsweetened applesauce. It's good. It's just like a little snack. See what you did, Frederick? You started a whole thing. Got me distracted. But that's good, because that gave them an opportunity to dry a little bit. I'm trying to think, what am I going to do tonight? Fields. Roads. Now, the way town sectors work in O group is different than the way they work in battle group. And so the little village, I don't think it's Lapeer Village. I think it's got another name to it. But it's only got, in real life, like 3 buildings. So that's, to me, that's just one little built up area. It has a church on the other side of the road, and with a graveyard and a walled-in area. I think that should be another built-up area. So Lapeer, or whatever the name of that town is, I can't even remember. It's going to have 2 built-up areas. And then on the American side of the Meredith River, there's like a barn and a manor house and a front gatehouse. But that's like one built-up area. And the distance between one bank of the river and the other bank of the flooded area is only going to be like 12 inches. Okay, let me make some adjustments here. Hey, you can see my new empty trash can. Yeah, I just emptied it this morning. Okay, I'm out. Something. Having a lot of leg problems. Frederick, did you hear what I said when I first started the stream? I ordered some compression socks. They should be here this afternoon. They might even be on the doorstep. I don't even know. But I've been having some leg problems myself. We share. All right. Take care, Frederick. Rascal, let's see what you say. Let me see if I can comment on this. I believe there is no wrong when playing a fantasy game. Rules are meant to change depending on all the variables the game master will be running. Exactly. You're exactly right, Rascals. You are correct. And that's, see, we have the same philosophy. We have the same um, belief that the game master, whoever it is, if he's doing a certain thing, he's doing it because that's what he wants his game to have in it. You know, he's doing it because that's what he wants. And as a player, you're along for the ride. You're not there. You don't drive the ship. You're like you're a character in the story, so you don't write the story. You might influence the story, I get that, but you don't write it. And if you do, then you're the game master. I'm being silly. Okay. Sci-Fi. We're going to be using that. Got a couple of these. We're going to be using this as a sprinkle. Now sprinkle this. And then we'll apply this. Okay. Mod Podge. I've got this listed as 50% Mod Podge and water, but I don't think that's true. I think it's probably like 70% Mod Podge. So, which is not enough water. Because Mod Podge is pretty thick. Pretty thick. Right, let's see who we can do first. I don't know. Running out of room over here. Get some light on my subjects. Maybe that's the problem. Got my reading glasses on. All right, Frederick, you take care. Or deep vein thrombosis. Don't eat too much carbohydrates. Slightly. Okay, stick to good old saturated fats. Carbs create inflammation. Yep. Okay. I'll take that advice. Or try to. No guarantees. Yeah, I've been trying to cut back on my uh, sugars and stuff. Okay. Everything's covered. Yeah, see, that's in the sprinkle a few stones. Just a few, doesn't have to be a lot. So I ordered these compression socks. Actually, I ordered them on Amazon, and they it looks like they're for runners. I mean, I haven't ran in I don't know how many years, but they had a good style to them. I mean, they look good. And then I read the details on them, and it looks like they had a pretty good compression ratio and looked like they had reinforced toes and heels. Maybe I'll show them off when they come in. Maybe I'll try to put them on when they come in. My wife has a pair of cheap compression socks. I don't know if they're cheap or not. They just look cheap. She might have paid a fortune for them. It's possible. Or they might have been the ones like her doctor just gives her part of her insurance. But she had varicose veins and had to have like her veins, they would cut her open, and then they would stretch her veins, like pull them tight, and then stitch her back up. It was it was weird. But then after that, she was wearing these compression socks. A few stones just to give it a little thought, just to give it a little some. Now I'm piling the grass on. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm piling it on where it's just a mass of grass, and then I just set it off to the side and let it dry or let it soak into its juices. You know what I mean? Yeah, when I added the water to this in the palette, it's now the right consistency. When it came out of the bottle, it's still too thick. I think I just heard something at the front door. All I have to do is check my email. Now I'm still waiting for the battle scale buildings. I'll be using my current collection of 10 mil Saturday. But I won't be, none of the buildings will be glued down. The town sectors will be probably just MDF boards just laid down. No flock or anything. You know what? I might paint them. I might get outside and just spray paint them just so they'll have a more earthy tone. Even though MDF is pretty good looking on the table. Try to make sure I get the glue on the figure bases because it helps disguise the base itself. Try to. Same thing with the infantry. Just pile it on and let it set. One of the reasons is I personally, oh, I spit on it, glue on it or something. I don't think there's 100% coverage. Even though there's glue everywhere and I put flock everywhere, I don't think it sticks everywhere. Initially I would leave gaps in the glue, paint it on like a camouflage pattern or something, and then and that works great with my static grass flock and stuff like that. But this woodland scenics flock, I don't know, it just doesn't seem to stick to everything. There always seems to be a little bit of a gap. Which is perfect because it basically means I don't have to worry about it. It does the camouflage scattering for me. All right, looks like it's after 12 o'clock. I'm going to end the stream here. And I might or might not see you guys tomorrow. All right. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. Appreciated all the comments and everything else. And I will see you maybe tomorrow, but definitely Saturday. Tune in for my O Group battle report, live action battle report. If you're interested in World War II battalion scale, which I'm going to be playing it at the company scale. All right, I'll see you then.